So some unfortunate news that's just coming in. Fali Nariman, who's passed away, an Indian jurist, a senior advocate to the Supreme Court of India since 1971. He was the president of the Bar Association of India from 1991 till 2010. So eminent jurist Fali Nariman has passed away. He's said to be one of the country's most renowned legal luminary and legal legend of India, who's passed away at the age of 95. A constitutional legal eagle is no more. Let's go across to Rhythm, who's joining us. Rhythm, of course, it is an end of an era. If you can talk to us about the life and times of Nali Nariman as he passed away this morning at the age of 95.
Yes, and a lot of people today would say things, and I've just seen the tweet by Dr. Singhvi where he says it's the end of an era. Truly, I do believe that. Just a few days ago, or I would say a few months ago, I met Fali sir. He was at the Ram Jethmalani Memorial Lecture where he gave this fantastic detailed speech on the freedom of press. He had his sense of humor intact when he was talking about Ram Jethmalani and others. Whenever I met him, I realized that his memory is sharp as always. And one of the things that Fali sir, and of course I'm going to talk about his legal achievements, I'm going to talk about that, but what always struck me in the Supreme Court when I used to see Fali sir is he used to sit in a corner and do his briefs. He didn't need anyone. He didn't need juniors. He didn't need paraphernalia. He only wanted his work. That's the passion with which he worked. Several times over the last 2 decades, I've been to his house, and it was the most beautiful Parsi house where there used to be cats around. His wife and he used to take immense care of us. And I think that quality of his kindness and warmth and memory always left an impact. They used to never let us go without giving us some sort of a chocolate or something. But this is to say about the humane side of what Fali sir was for us. The noted jurist was also awarded the Padma Bhushan in 91, the Padma Vibhushan in 2007. I still remember he started his practice in the Bombay High Court. Later, he moved to Delhi. He was also the president of the Bar Association. There is so much constitutional work that Fali sir has done, the constitutional expert that he was. He's going to be missed because of all that he did and brought to the table. He was a fierce votary of civil liberties. He always was an important public voice. His opinions really mattered about judicial developments. He was almost like a pillar of the judiciary, a very distinguished constitutional lawyer, several landmark cases that were there that he spoke of. He was the famous NJAC case. He had 70 years of legal practice, started in the Bombay High Court, came to the Supreme Court, became the additional Solicitor General as well. And, when we say it's the end of an era, for everyone in the judiciary, for everyone who's actually worked and seen how he worked, this is the way that the older generation of lawyers worked, the way Fali sir, as a renowned constitutional jurist and senior advocate, worked. And, there used to be a different dedication and passion with which he worked. And I remember one of the biggest, statements that he made to me when I had gone and interviewed him in 2009. It was the Bhopal gas tragedy case where he said, "I regret having appeared for the US-based company." It takes a man of a great stature to come to that understanding and to make that statement. And that is what Fali Nariman, for a lot of us, lawyers and journalists was. As I said, he also was the president of the Bar Association. There were numerous judgments that he did, the NJAC verdict, the SC AoR Association case, participated in cases like TMA Pai addressing the minority rights issue. So there were constitutional cases that he was a part of. He was a significant public voice in the country. And there was a 2022 book Nariman wrote, "You Must Know Your Constitution." In that, I still remember he'd written that the life of a written constitution, like the life of law, is not logic, but experience. He spoke with great passion about the constitution. He spoke about the sedition law also, I remember. And he said, He spoke about the new law. So a lot of things that Fali Nariman used to say had a lot of gravitas and weightage. He was renowned for his sharp legal acumen. I also remember a lot of times when I used to go and speak to him and try and interview him. I'm also being now joined by, I think, Aishwarya Bhatti, senior advocate, additional Solicitor General of India, is with me on the phone line. Aishwarya, people like you and me who've actually interacted with Fali sir know what a legal gem he was. Take us through how you are feeling today. I just read a tweet which said, truly, this is the end of an era.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Rhythm. An end of an era which spanned almost a century. He has been instrumental in grooming and inspiring and encouraging so many generations of us lawyers. You know, we are much, much younger and we saw him in the very nascent years of our journey, but he inspired us every day with his professionalism. I mean, a great gem for the country and for the legal field. The way he inspired all of us with the way he was, he would take time out, you know, even to notice the small things, to encourage young lawyers. If somebody had made a good argument, he would make it a point to encourage that. And, you know, if an encouragement comes from somebody as tall as Fali Nariman, that gives you strength of conviction that you are going in the right direction. You know, he would stand and assist young lawyers even when they were, you know, they would be struggling on the podium. So his presence in the bar, in the corridors, has been a huge presence. And of course, after the COVID, his presence became very intermittent. But just before COVID, he was an everyday figure in the court and the corridors. You know, sometimes reading on his own, or he would go sit for hours in the judge's library. The books, his interviews, you know, his small things. I mean, one advice that he gave to young lawyers that immediately comes to my mind is, don't just read the brief and argue. Allow the brief to run into you. Allow it to soak in your system. Absorb it. Mull over the issue. And then what you come out with, that is the point. So, I mean, huge loss. But I think more than the loss, I think the way we need to look at it is that we need to celebrate what a great gem he was for the country and the legal fraternity, and be grateful that we had the occasion to see him and be inspired by him every day.
Yes, I completely agree. And this, Aishwarya, you know, the charming things that you're talking about is actually what left an impact on us. Of course, he was a great constitutional expert, but I particularly remember him sitting on this particular bench in the Supreme Court in the corridors and quietly reading his briefs. Even when we went to speak to him or ask for an interaction or an interview, he was mostly always in that room upstairs or, you know, on the first floor where he used to do his briefing, and he used to be sitting there and quietly reading his briefs. So I've across the years always noticed that is something that this is something that was done by him. This is something that showed what a sharp legal acumen he had. I also remember when he was flying abroad, he used to try and ensure that his wife, Bapsi, who passed away earlier, used to always be with him. And the charming way with which they spoke, the charming way with which they ensured that everyone was taken care of, the kindness that they had, even for, a mere reporter or a camera person, was impeccable, was remarkable, and something that we can't forget. Other than this, Aishwarya, I want to also ask you, he was the additional solicitor. Several books have been written by him. The most famous autobiography, Before Memory Fades. His son, Rohington Nariman, was Justice Nariman, a judge of the Supreme Court. He was a living legend who will forever be in our hearts and minds. His diverse achievements, his principles unwavering. It's clear that a beacon of light for the judicial world has today been blown out.
Rhythm, couldn't agree more with you. But you know, as a law officer, I would certainly tell you one thing. I got a handwritten note from him when I got appointed as an ASG, and his advice was continue to be true to the court always. And I also got the last book that I received from him was the delightful Mr. Daftari. And what a delight it has been to read that book, because, people like us from our generation did not have an occasion to see Mr. Daftari personally. But for him to create and recreate those memories for us to be part of, for us to enjoy. And great luminary, Rhythm. Great luminary. And I think you speak about that bench that we always invariably found him on, quietly reading his books or briefs, preparing for the court. Those are memories from the later years of his professional journey. If you speak to lawyers before us, you will see that his presence in court, the commanding presence, his time as a law officer, I think every stage of his life has been an inspiration. And I mean, what a great son he had, what a contribution to the nation that way also, that, parents, children always become a reflection of their parents and the value system that the parents give. So definitely the family value system was something extraordinary, which led to more legal gems coming out of the family.
Yes, absolutely. I also want to ask you, in your personal interactions, what are the key cases that he's done that impacted you personally, Aishwarya?